Oh, buddy. What it do, snackers, snackettes, snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Jokes and with Sin.
What's happening?
You are now watching a quick reaction. Look, after what has happened in video games over the last couple of weeks, who knows what's going to happen next week?
I know. But tomorrow.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, the opportunity for us to get together, even though it's a little bit late, all that, it's unexpected. The news itself was unexpected. So, today, as you can see, if you're looking at Joke's background, there it is. Yeah, get out the way. Move, Jokes. Get out the way. Yeah, so PlayStation has announced their intentions to acquire Bungie. Bungie has announced their intentions to be acquired by Sony, by PlayStation. And so this sent some waves, big waves, through the industry. So here's the thing. First couple things I want to say that I saw obviously were immediate reactions to like, oh, so Microsoft goes and buys Activision and now Sony goes and they buy Bungie and it's, and people are like, oh my goodness, it's back and forth. And Harry Clausen, a good friend of ours, tagged me, said, man, it's an arms race now. It's absolutely an arms race. It's been an arms race for quite some time. It's just that,
yeah. He's in the comments right now, matter of fact.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Facts. These are the real joints. These aren't like the console wars. This is just straight up video game wars. Yeah, like it. Here's the thing. My initial reaction when I saw this was like, "That's a solid get, bro. That's a solid get." We've had plenty of conversation about what it meant for Microsoft to buy Activision, all the things they get out of it. For Sony to acquire Bungie, it is in a lot of ways very different from Microsoft acquiring Activision because they acquired an entire publisher with a bunch of IP. Acquiring Bungie is not on that same level, which is why this is a $3.6 billion acquisition, which is still nothing to scoff at. It ain't.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not $70 billion.
No,
right?
No, that's it's a different.
But we're not getting the same thing. However, the implications for this are much deeper. Just like the Microsoft acquisition, they're much deeper than just, oh, Sony now has this control over Destiny. Which I think is probably what most people's initial fears were, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not a Destiny player. I don't care anymore. I have played it. I will play it sometimes, but it doesn't hold me. Like, I have a lot of issues with the way that they handle things in Destiny, and it just doesn't hold me. There's so much other stuff that you can play, or I could be playing, that it doesn't do it for me. Jokes, you have been a diehard Destiny guy through and through from day one all the way in. Sin, you're much more dedicated to it than I am, though you're not as dedicated to it as Jokes is. Jokes, talk to me about what this acquisition feels like for you. What does it mean?
So I just feel like, so we know in the past, so when Destiny 1 came out, Sony and Bungie, like, they had an agreement with certain things that were going to show up on PlayStation first, some things that were going to be exclusive to PlayStation that would at some point come to Xbox. So obviously, just like everybody else, when this first dropped, like, this was the first thing I saw before I read anything. I just saw this and I was like, don't you dare tell me that I am only going to be able to play Destiny on the PlayStation. Disgusted, because all my DLC is on Xbox. So that was a little concerning. But of course, a little bit later on, Bungie acknowledged it is going to stay multi-platform, which is a good thing. But with it being exclusive, or with Bungie now being with PlayStation, that could bring back, certain cosmetics or things that would be only exclusive maybe to PlayStation. But I do like the fact that Bungie at least acknowledged, it is going to stay multi-platform. It's going to be out there, so everybody will still be able to play it. As of now, none of that will change. So that made me still feel good about playing Destiny. Now we're getting to the Witch Queen, which comes out literally within a few weeks now. Possibly if PlayStation is going to try to do a move or something to like say, hey, Bungie, we want you guys to try to do a little something exclusive for us since you got Witch Queen coming along. It won't necessarily make me.
They are. So I can tell you, Bungie is working on a new IP. They have an unannounced IP that they're working on. They are working on something other than Destiny. I do want to acknowledge. Brian said they're throwing around a lot of chips. I don't see how they profit here. What's up, Sentient? We had a little bit of a conversation about this earlier today in chat. So I'm gonna try to frame this in terms of what it means for PlayStation, and for Sony as a whole to make this acquisition. In a lot of ways, not unlike what it means for Microsoft to have control over the Call of Duty IP. For them to say, here's the deal, we can take Call of Duty and make Call of Duty exclusive if we want to. But even if we don't, we can make it appetizing for you to join Game Pass and pay us monthly because we will give you Call of Duty on Game Pass. This, in my opinion, is a move made by Sony that is, we got this whole Spartacus thing we working on. Maybe you're going to have to pay to play Destiny everywhere else. But you're going to get to play it here. If you're a member of whatever Spartacus is, which is, Spartacus is the code name for what is supposed to be PlayStation's answer for Game Pass. So this is the kind of get that they need to have. And it makes sense for them to have stuff that works in a multiplayer facet. So one of the things that Sony has been doing behind the scenes, if you look at what they're doing with Insomniac, with Naughty Dog, with studios they already have, if you go to their LinkedIn's, you can see that they have been hiring consistently over the past year or so, specifically for multiplayer stuff, specifically, which is where PlayStation has been lacking. It has not been a secret that PlayStation's strong suit is single player, story driven, great cutscenes, all that. That's been their thing. Last of Us, all that stuff. Uncharted. Right? What they don't have is a great set of multiplayer games. Okay? And one of the things
that are Sony exclusive studios.
Correct.
Type of
correct.
Yes.
That are their IPs, right?
Yes.
That's very different from what Microsoft has, with Xbox, been able to survive. If you look at the numbers for what Halo sells, what Gears of War sells, those games always outsell PlayStation's biggest franchises. Part of the reason why that happens is because all of those games are multiplayer.
Yep.
So more people buy them so they can play them together. That same philosophy has driven a lot of what Game Pass is. We're putting games in here that everybody can play together. You look at a game like Forza, right? Forza Horizon, which has, they announced 20 million players. It's on Game Pass. It's in the top 20 NPD for the year. It's the only Microsoft title in the top 20 NPD for the year. And what they're telling you is not how many titles they sold technically when they announced it. They're saying, this is how many players we have. So the way that they are tracking and telling Wall Street, here's why you should invest in us, this is why our stock price should go higher, is because people want to play on the platforms that we own, where we are. That's what that is.
It's almost the equivalent of record labels catering to streams now.
Exactly.
I mean? Yes.
It's that same idea. It's changing you're not looking at how many CDs you sold. You're looking at how many streams you got, how many plays you got. That's it, right? So while Game Pass has touted that even when a game is in Game Pass and has all these players, it still sells really well, you can use something like Sony's own MLB The Show to prove it, right? One of the highest selling games on Xbox's platform, but was available day one
Game Pass.
in Game Pass. This announcement is a very strategic announcement because it was announced the same day, and I know Sony knew it was going to happen, that MLB The Show announced, again this year, we're going to be day one, MLB The Show 22 in Game Pass, again, a Sony-owned franchise, but we're also coming to Switch this year.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're a Sony fan or you're in that realm, that still means that if you want to play on PlayStation, you have to pay them $70 to buy that game. And you don't have to set that same money down if you want to play it on Xbox, which is the key differentiator between what Game Pass is and what something like PlayStation Now is or what Netflix is. So a lot of times we use those as comparisons for what Game Pass is. The difference is that, unlike having Netflix, you can't get a subscription to Netflix and pay them monthly, but if you really like a movie, still buy it. And keep it. Right? Game Pass still allows you to do that. So
and get a discount.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And at a discount, including DLC at a discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a way of Microsoft telling the industry, we're not taking away people's ability to still make purchases. So Sony grabbing Bungie doesn't just mean, we get Destiny. It doesn't just mean, and again, it feels tit for tat, right? Because it's like Xbox bought the company that owns Crash Bandicoot, which was for a long time the mascot for PlayStation. Yeah. Well, now Sony owns Bungie, who created Master Chief, who is still currently technically the mascot for Xbox, right? So it feels very tit for tat. Here's the thing. Bungie's been doing what they've been doing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This gives Sony access to Bungie's engine.
Yes.
It gives them access to Bungie's network. Bungie.net is a big deal.
Yes, it is.
They track stats is incredible. Okay? Sony also already has ownership over Evo.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft now has control over Major League Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch League, big deal. Call of Duty, big deal in that space. What they have in terms of tracking players, what their, KDA ratios are, all that kind of stuff.
It's absolutely insane.
It's insane, and it's super important. Now Sony has that, right? This is tech that they can now use as all these other teams are working on their own multiplayer stuff. As Sony is beginning to pick up the paces on getting stuff that's multiplayer to bring more players in. The other thing that's important about this is to understand that Sony is finally beginning to understand that they have been forced to play ball, and now they will. What that means is...
Yeah. Because there's no way you snatch up something like Destiny and don't make it cross-play and cross-platform for everybody. Like, you just... Like, you're going into it knowing that that's where Bungie stands. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we're running with, like, and you have to run with.
Honestly, and you know what? The learning piece of that probably was also on me was MLB. Because the fact that they saw how that showed up in Game Pass, which Destiny was in Game Pass for a good while, or in the DLC.
It still is. Both Destiny 1 and 2 are in Game Pass still.
The DLC, they did take out.
Yeah.
And they made you buy, but that was probably a good example for them to see, we do not want to take Destiny off and make it a PlayStation exclusive because we will be missing out on all that money that came from out of it being in Game Pass.
Yeah, what this more than anything means is this is really Sony's first. This is PlayStation's Minecraft. A lot of times we compare Microsoft's acquisition of Mojang and Minecraft because everybody was afraid when that happened. Oh no, now they're gonna take it off of other platforms, and they're like, we good. We're gonna keep making that money hand over fist and whatever, right? And there's still some things that again we talked about. There's some adjustments, but this is for Sony to make this kind of an acquisition. It was made very clear, and I'll just post like Jim Ryan said himself, and you can read it in the Sony post. Jim Ryan from PlayStation has confirmed Bungie will remain independent and multi-platform. That is another very different thing from what we have seen in the past. Right?
Big, major.
I can guarantee you that Bungie would not agree to be acquired if they weren't going to be allowed.
They couldn't stay independent. 100%.
Yes.
They just got out from under Activision's foot.
Yep.
And prior to that, they felt that same kind of pressure when they were under Xbox. When they were under Microsoft, they chose to get out. They got out. They lost Halo when they did it, but they got out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Activision was not better for them. Now that they have gotten that freedom, they want to maintain that freedom.
100%.
So this is not the kind of thing, like, I don't look at this and go, oh man, looks like Destiny's not going to be on anything else anymore, right? Because Destiny is also seeing extreme great numbers on PC and always has. Sony is just now beginning to dip their foot into PC. And they're starting to see those numbers. And if you saw last week, you had people like Cory Barlog, from who helmed God of War, saying it was us, it was we, the creators of the games, who went to Sony and said, you need to let us put our games on PC. We're missing a lot of money. You're missing out on a lot of money by not putting it on PC. And what that means is that Sony has to change the premium pitch. We talked about it a little bit last time we discussed them. Sony's pitch has been, we sell a premium product, and the only place to get and play these products is to come to our premium platform. You have to be here, right? So we've had discussions about, like, people being angry when Sony announces, oh, we're going to put God of War on PC. We're going to put Horizon on PC, right? Sony PlayStation people are like, yo, that's crazy. You can't do that. It's supposed to be exclusive. Now it's not exclusive anymore. The only real reason to act that way is because you have been sold the idea that what you bought in buying a PlayStation and buying the console allowed you a premium experience that couldn't be gotten anywhere else, including a PC. You must have a PlayStation in order to do it. So it feels like that's getting ripped out from under you. And so while people, talk on Twitter about, I don't understand why people are so mad because Sony wants to put on, let them make money, let them do their thing. They're mad because Sony promised them that wasn't a thing. They sold them the idea of it being premium by being exclusive. It not being exclusive turns into, well, it's not that it's exclusive, it's just that it's not on Xbox, and that's the thing you really hate. And it's not on Switch, and that's the thing you really hate, right? So now they're going to have to pivot. They don't have a choice but to pivot that idea. But it also means that the money's starting to come in, and they're actually starting to realize that there is something to it, that there is a...
They got to go with the Microsoft approach. Get you in our ecosystem. We're creating an ecosystem now. Now that we're putting stuff on PC, PlayStation, Spartacus, like we're creating this whole thing. Come here and live here and play your games here with us. That's what they're transitioning into.
Correct. And the thing is, they had an ecosystem, right? Like, PlayStation is their ecosystem. It just was that you had to have a PlayStation.
Right.
They tried it at the beginning of this generation. Oh, you want these games? You better get a PlayStation 5. Well, now you can't get a PlayStation 5. So now they
more
need
PlayStation 4s.
Right? We're going to make more PlayStation 4s. That's great, because way more people will be able to play Destiny now. Right? Right? And these games that were supposed to be exclusive, just the PlayStation 5, to get you to go out and spend your money to get a PlayStation 5, because their business plan was based on the idea of selling you console. So that then they could make money off of selling you software.
Pandemic didn't work out that way for them. I mean,
the money is in having a subscription service, right? And they have subscription services, right? So again, for a long time, the big thing for Sony was you could play online on PlayStation for free. Microsoft was making hand over fist while people are paying for Xbox Live Gold. They had the hack, and people realized, oh, there is a reason to pay for it. And when Sony announced, oh, you're going to have to start paying for it, everybody let that joint just run over their head like it wasn't a thing.
I remember that, yeah.
They're going to have to shift, right? This is an important play because it gives Sony money that comes in regardless of whether or not Bungie says, we're going to put Destiny on Amazon Luna. We're going to put Destiny...
Wasn't Destiny on Stadia?
Yep, it was.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna run it in Stadia, right? Again, Amazon and Alphabet as companies, way more money than Sony has to spend on doing things. But one of the things that Phil Spencer said in one of his interviews last week was that his biggest fear is that a company like Alphabet or Amazon does come in and buy up a bunch of game studios, and they have no idea what they're doing, and they don't do it the right way, right? And so having companies, that is part of what that statement was that he made when he said Sony is important to us, because they know.
I get that. Right? I get that. Yeah. You want the people who love gaming and know gaming running the gaming industry, not these outside people coming in, because they will completely mess it all up for everybody.
Well, look at Google's track record. What's happening with Stadia now? Where are the studios that they bought or they started or whatever? It's all gone, right? Yeah. In less than 2 years. Yeah. It's all gone. What about Amazon? Amazon has New World. That joint is basically a ghost town now.
Mm-hmm. Right? It started high because it was new, but it's tapered way.
And then it had its glitches, and then when it started bricking people's new 30 series video cards, that completely like, oh nah, I ain't doing that.
But it's not like they didn't go and court industry veterans to run these studios and to make these games. You know what I mean? So I heard a funny thing the other day where somebody said, man, why would Microsoft spend $70 billion to buy Activision when they could just spend $1 billion and make 70 studios, right? If you spend $1 billion on a studio, just open 70 studios, doesn't that make more sense? It's nowhere near that simple. Though the math sounds like that would make sense.
Does.
You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, when you actually acquire, when you start acquiring them, and plus, not aside from getting those big IPs, one thing we always talk about is that data. Like you now are you're getting major amounts of data, whether it be credit card information, how people spend on certain games, where they spend on certain, like you're acquiring all of that extra information. You start building companies, you don't necessarily have that off the break. And now you got to try to create that for yourself to see where things go. Versus, hey, here's terabytes and teraflops and all this amount of.
I'm thinking the data alone they got from Overwatch, Call of Duty, and like World of Warcraft. Like that is just Warcraft insane. Yeah, that's years of data.
Yep,
years.
Almost 2 decades of data.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, this is a solid get for Sony because of all the other things it gets. It also means if you read Bungie's blog, they talk about not only finding a home that understands what they want to do, but they talk about expanding their IP and expanding into other things besides games. Now, Microsoft got a bad rap in the last generation for TV, and really trying to push that or whatever, and we know that the initial push for them was we want to get in the living room. We don't want to let Sony get in and control the living room. Like we need to have something to combat that. That's where Xbox more or less ended up coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to really compete with Sony and the kind of market share they have and what they do, you have to understand that Sony is so much more than PlayStation because they're Epic Records, they're Columbia Records, they're, like they are movie companies. They are like, there's so much more they have going on.
Yeah.
So as they continue to say, oh, we're doing PlayStation pictures, we're doing movies, Uncharted movies getting ready to come out. So like the idea that whatever it is that Sony is planning as a competition for Game Pass, in my head now, is we're going to tie in Crunchyroll. We're going to tie, like, what if what they do isn't just games? What if it is you have access to these games? Like, maybe we're not giving you our day one, games or whatever. You're not getting, the next Horizon
game. Give me day one anime, though.
Right? But what Sony doesn't have technically anymore, I mean, they had PlayStation TV.
Yeah.
Is a streaming service for that stuff. Right? So Sony owns tons of movies, tons of IP. If they bake that in, and so you're not just getting all these games, but you're also getting access to all these movies or TV shows or even music that Sony has ownership of, right? Michael Jackson's almost entire catalog is under Sony.
Mm-hmm.
That's clean. And it goes back to, like
it's
I said,
Columbia, it's Epic, it's, what I'm saying?
Creating and expanding your ecosystem. Like that's one hell of a way to do it. You know what I mean? Like you're not just getting games, like you said. You're getting media, you're getting music, you're getting everything. If you pay the subscription service.
And that's it, right? Here's a subscription. If you think about what, like, YouTube has a subscription service. You can play music in the background and watch stuff without ads and, whatever, right? There are plenty of free versions of the same kind of thing where they run ads, and if you don't want ads, you pay them, right? Yep. So there's a lot of ways that Sony can handle this, and Sony has been grabbing companies that have media, like Crunchyroll, right? Like Funimation. And they already own a bunch of other stuff. So when you consider that as an option, we're talking about something, again, we've been talking about how Microsoft is not looking at PlayStation as its competition anymore and Nintendo as its competition anymore. They're looking at Google. They're looking at Amazon. They're looking at these really big tech companies that have the kind of money that they have. Realistically, Sony has control over a lot of music, over a lot of movies, over a lot of TV, and has this ability. They find a way to free Halo from that Paramount Plus.
Hey, Paramount Plus, I'm cool with, because otherwise they would put it right on like CBS or something like that. And
it was a Showtime thing, right? So initially, if Sony is going to make whatever they do seem viable and not just also seem like, they're just copying Game Pass, which isn't necessarily a bad idea, right? Because, again, Sony still has control over the market share. They own more market share. Like, even after the acquisition of Activision goes through from Microsoft, that still would only make them third in terms of market share. Right, so it's still Sony first, and then Tencent, again, another company that I'm sure
coming just out of the blue,
right? You got Embracer Group coming in and buying up all kinds of stuff. So, if Sony's gonna make whatever they bring out against the Game Pass to make it really worth your while, they have all this other stuff they own that they can throw into that. It doesn't just have to be games. It not even a little bit, right? Which could force Microsoft to be like, we got this movies and TV thing, so now is your Game Pass for like another $5. Like, it could be that's the thing that forces Game Pass to get more expensive.
Idea. I like the idea, honestly. Yeah, it's different, and it does make sense when you sit and kind of just openly look at everything. I like the idea.
Right. This shows me that they are thinking differently, which is what I've been saying we need to see Sony do.
Yes.
Instead and I'm happy. Of just thinking, let's find a way to sell you more boxes, right? At some point, you got to figure out how to, organic growth is important, right? If we don't get any more people in, how do we continue to make money off of those same people, even if we don't bring in anybody new? You do that by getting a subscription service, right? And having them turn that. So, how do you think this affects something like Destiny in the long term? Jokes. Probably one of the biggest issues that has been one of the console war things, specifically with Destiny, is that Sony has gone in and locked down with Bungie, full-on year-long exclusive DLC before you see it on other platforms, especially on Xbox or whatever. What does that mean going forward? Does that mean we just see the same thing? Do you think that changes? Or do you think that because technically Bungie continues to operate independently, they get to make that decision? What do you think that means?
I think still being independent is going to make the difference here. I think what we'll see is we won't see their core stuff, like the core DLC and things like that, be locked to, like, say, a time frame behind a window or something like that. I do think what we could get, there are some cosmetics or things that you can get within the PlayStation world that don't necessarily affect performance and overpowering things like that. It's more or less just those cosmetic changes. So whether it's specific shaders, maybe you'll get a Kratos color, you'll get a special PlayStation 5 color outfit or something like that. I feel like they may try to do those type of things. Personally, I won't be mad at it. Now, if you tell me, obviously, if we're playing crossplay and you're going to give someone on PlayStation a super dope weapon that I can't get on Xbox, then that type of thing is what would probably make me feel a little bit different. But I understand that this is what you're trying to do to get more people to play it on PlayStation. And I'm not necessarily going to be mad at that aspect of it, but at the fact that I can't access it, that was one of the issues that we had in Destiny 1, where certain strikes is a main catalyst of the game that you could only access on PlayStation. And they were there for, I would say it was longer than a year. It was only supposed to be like a year exclusive time lockdown thing. But for some reason, it seemed like either it was a forgotten thing and it just stayed there. So I think them being independent is going to help out this dramatically in the terms of that. But I won't be upset if we see some of those exclusive things like they did with the 30th anniversary for Bungie. We started seeing some of those particular weapons that resemble things from Halo. So I thought that was pretty cool. But now maybe they'll partner with PlayStation and they may try to incorporate some of those type of things into the game. And we will see that on both sides of the playing field for it.
I want to read a lot of it of Bungie's Post specifically, because I think it actually is a little bit. I think it's one of those things, right, where especially if you're a person who plays Destiny on PC or on Xbox, when you hear something like this, those immediate fears that kick in, right, of like, oh no, now I'm not going to be able to play on my favorite platform or whatever it is, right? So Bungie's post on it specifically says, Bungie joins Sony Interactive Entertainment. We believe games have limitless potential, and that to do anything worthwhile in entertainment, we must bet big on our vision, on our studio, and on our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people. In SIE, we have found a partner who unconditionally supports us in all we are and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Like us, SIE believes that game worlds are only the beginning of what our IPs can become. Together, we share a dream of creating and fostering iconic franchises that unite friends around the world, families across generations, and fans across multiple platforms and entertainment mediums. Today, Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
The next piece is called Creative Freedom. So it says, since taking flight in 91, Bungie has always charted the future with our own star map, a path that is driven by our people and for our community. We are continuing that journey with new worlds in development, and we can't wait to share them with you. So again, they are working on new IP. Mm-hmm. With SIE, the potential for our universes is unlimited. Our future games will take bold steps into unexplored spaces for Bungie, continue to push the boundaries of what is possible, and will always be built on a foundation of creating meaningful, lifelong friendships and memories. We remain in charge of our destiny. We will continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games. We will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. With SIE's support, the most immediate change you will see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. If this speaks to you and you want to help us put a dent in the universe, we are hiring across all disciplines for Destiny 2 and for all new worlds beyond. So, again, this is them making it very clear that not only, that doesn't even sound to me like whatever new stuff they do is going to be exclusive to Sony.
Mm-hmm.
That Sony is going to put money behind them so that they can hire the people they need to actually continue to do the work. It sounds a lot like what almost every studio who Microsoft, purchased said.
Yeah.
Right? That, they're saying they're going to independently publish their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even mean Sony's not even publishing their stuff. Right? Which is the same thing that happened when Microsoft bought Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Like those studios, they are a publisher. They still publish their own work. Yes, it's under Microsoft. Yes, it's technically Microsoft Game Studios. They still have their creative freedom. And Bungie still retains theirs. there's a high possibility you don't really see much change on PlayStation's end, on Sony's end, as far as how it directly affects them. Because it's not like, well, now we own the IP, so to speak, and we have control over it, and we can do what we want with it. And like Sony can't come in and tell Bungie to take it off other platforms. They're not allowed to do that. Things could change, right? But right now, what I think is that this is a really, really good sign. Again, I've been saying for a long time, like Sony needs to start changing the way that they're doing business. Yeah. They're going to end up like Sega.
Because it's not done the same way as it was back then. They were so locked into a monster. But I do think the pandemic has forced them into looking at things differently and changing things up. Looking what everybody around them in the same space is doing. Okay, we need to start. Game Pass is a thing. We can't ignore it anymore.
Nope.
We need to figure this out. You know what I mean? And just all the way around. Yeah.
And I'm happy. There's
no doubt in my mind that if they were able to make and sell PlayStation 5s, that they would still be working under that same pretense, with that same mindset.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
So I'm game for it because I'm looking forward to something for PlayStation to do to make me eager to get on the platform more. Because it's like, no, there is still a Tuesday show.
This is just
a little impromptu thing.
What happened. And that's so that we don't spend 40 minutes talking about it on tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow's show got a super special guest coming on. It's going to be dope. You don't want to miss that joint. We're still doing the show tomorrow.
So we got this separate.
The same week. We get this out the way tonight.
Yeah.
We get into it tomorrow.
But yeah. To some news. I'm happy though for what hopefully PlayStation is looking to do. Because like if you start bundling, like for me, I'm in the Crunchyroll already. I'm in Funimation. If you tell me that you're going to roll these things in with PlayStation Network or whatever your new Game Pass rival thing is going to be, I am more than willing to give you guys the money. More than willing.
Oh yeah.
Because not only are you saving me money, you're presenting me with something. Especially, everything I've done so far in Destiny 2 has been on Xbox. But if you can do something that makes it worthwhile for me to play it on a PlayStation, as hard as it is for me to say that, like I'm willing and open to see what you do. But if it just means you're just going to help Bungie produce their best possible vision of everything, I am 100% behind that as well too. I'm just eager to see, like right now, like the gaming landscape just within these, just like you said, in these last few weeks has changed so dramatically.
2022 starting off with a bang.
And we haven't even gotten to E3.
It's not even February. We're still in January.
Or whatever may happen. So I am super excited for the rest of what this year is going to be. I'm super excited for tomorrow because we have no idea what the hell is going to happen tomorrow.
Facts.
Yeah.
They'll wake up in the morning and they'll just be like, oh yeah, Bandai Namco bought Sega. Boom!
Like, oh my God.
Oh God.
You know, there's
no way something.
Yeah, man, listen, I think this is a really good sign. The video game industry is alive and kicking and ain't going nowhere no time soon. You know, I didn't see anything about, regulatory stuff. I mean, again, it's one studio, right? It's not the same kind of thing as spending the kind of money that Microsoft's doing. It's not the kind of thing that has to wait until next year. So this scene sounds a lot more immediate just because they're like, you want to jump in? We hiring right now.
We hiring. Throw them resumes. Give us the resumes. We want you.
Yeah. It's an important acquisition, though. You know what I mean? It is Bungie, and it's Destiny, which has been around for so many years, and so many people love it, play it. Like we all have played, like you said, Jokes and me, we play it or whatever. Like it is a big thing. It's probably under Call of Duty as far as first-person shooters. You know what I mean? Like as far as
and not to mention, out there. They had like a 10-year plan or whatever that was for Destiny. Ain't no telling what now they may decide to do with, extra funding and all that good stuff that they can have these extra people. That 10-year plan may instantly become like a 15-year plan. They can make those type of changes.
I mean, that original 10-year plan was supposed to be for Destiny 1. Like, we technically wanted to get a Destiny 2. You know what I mean?
You know, they're hiring people. Like, let's put these new people on Destiny. All the old people who tired of working on Destiny, let's start building on new IPs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yep. I think it'll work out all the way around. Yep.
I do too. I think it's dope. I think it's a really good thing. I think it's super good for the industry. I'm super happy to see it. You know, again, it seems. I think the timing. This is not the kind of thing that you just wrap up in like a week. You know, 2 weeks. No. This doesn't feel to me like this isn't. I know it looks like the kind of thing where it's like Microsoft did what. We got to go buy somebody, you know, like.
Hell no! These are
the kind of things that have to be in talks for a while. Lawyers have to draw contracts. Yeah. Things have to be looked at. Like, this isn't just like a.
This ain't a small indie developer. No, this is
no handshake deals here. Yeah, everything. Like, I need this on. We need this on paper because there's legal reasons and all this. That's time.
It's still $3.6 billion, bro. Like, it's not like this ain't the joint you just be like,
you don't just pull that out your bank account and just randomly
throw that out here real quick. Nah.
Well,
Billy.
I mean, Microsoft can. They did it in cash, but like, but you don't. True. You don't just like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So look, we just want to get in here, have a quick conversation about this. Again, part of this is so that we can avoid having to dig deep into it tomorrow. So unless something else, some other major news breaks or there's something else, whatever, you know, we're gonna try not to touch this. Again, we got a real special guest coming on the Low Science Weekly tomorrow. I'm actually going to post about that in a few minutes. So just keep your eyes open, and I'll post about it again tomorrow. I'm really excited to have our guest on. We're going to have several guests on coming out throughout Black History Month, you know, celebrating Black creators and so forth. So starting tomorrow, day one, jumping right in, and continuing throughout the month. So
if you're in the anime Doctor Who, yes, Crunchyroll is worth the purchase if you're in the anime.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and
if you have Game Pass, you can get like, I think it's 3 months for free.
3 months for free, yeah.
It's Crunchyroll and Funimation now, pretty much under the same bracket. They're starting to show a lot of subbed and dubbed on Crunchyroll, which typically Crunchyroll doesn't do the dub; they all do mostly sub stuff. So it's pretty cool to see, but yeah, it's worth it.
I mean, that could change. You know what I mean? We'll see. Look, yeah, I got a podcast to finish editing and post. We got enemies to go shoot. So we got to go do some of that. And I got a show to prep for tomorrow. Listen, we're going to have some fun tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a real good time. So, with that said, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us right now. Just now to kind of talk about, you know, this Sony and Bungie thing that just happened. With that, we're out. See y'all tomorrow. Toodles and Lose.